Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to this episode on Nafs and Therapy. Today, I have Halah Zumrawi with me, and together we both talk about prayer and ADHD. Now, personally, I'm not an expert on this, but Halah has had extensive experience with ADHD and with working with Muslims around the world, helping them understand their own patterns, their relationship with their prayer, and how to build a consistent relationship with Allah while having trouble with focus, distraction, and consistency. We explore together how the mind wanders, how compassion can help us reshape our approach to worship and to Allah, and what it means to stay connected even when the attention slips and when perfectionism takes the best of us. So enjoy this episode and let's get started. I want to see how I know Halah. We both did the CMC program together. The
Islamic
diploma.
psychology. Diploma in Islamic psychology.
Yeah, but I would love if you could introduce yourselves to the listeners.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. My name is Halah Zumrawi. I always am interested in playing around with this question of who are you? Because we have very typical ways of introducing ourselves. But I'm a daughter. I'm an auntie. I'm a friend. I'm someone who loves blueberries. I'm this whole being, and I'm trained as a clinician. I was going to say from a lot of places, but originally from Sudan, and I'm a Pacific Northwest person, and so there's roots there. Growing up in what is colonially known as Metro Vancouver, Canada. Unceded Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh territory. Those are the indigenous Coast Salish nations of those places. And
can you tell us where you're trained, or
sure,
your specifics of it?
Sure. Again, I'm gonna play with the question because there's the official training that we got and the diplomas that we got, right?
Yeah.
And then there's all the other training that is unofficial, and I can't even begin to name all of the experiences outside of the institutions of learning that we live in and go through. But institution-wise, I have my Bachelor of Science in Integrated Sciences from the University of British Columbia, where I minored in Spanish language and literature. And then I did my master's in clinical counseling and counseling, and specialized in addictions. And I have a certificate in addictions. And then I've got the diploma in Islamic studies, alhamdulillah, wa shukrullah. Yeah.
Lovely. All right, so I'm just gonna dive right into it because I feel like we've not necessarily missed, but did not specifically identify your area of interest.
Yeah.
And I think
there's the areas that I've studied, and then there's the areas that I deep dive, want to learn about, and the ways in which I want to there's the work that I do, and then there's the work that really calls to my heart.
Exactly. So and if we can jump right into it on ADHD and prayer and Salah.
Yeah.
And this is literally going to be the title of the episode.
I love it.
Because I personally, I think this is the first time that you and I are just sitting and talking about this.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you. Tell us.
Salah and ADHD.
Salah and ADHD. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of disclaimers before we jump into the conversation. The first disclaimer is that I'm not someone who is formally trained in Islamic studies in a sense that I can give you a scholarly, religious opinion about something. So what I'm saying here, if you have a doubt in it or whatever, and you want to go check, please go check. Go and this is not religious, me giving religious dispensation or religious whatever. The second is, if it's for you, you're going to know it's for you, the things that I'm about to say. And if it doesn't resonate, listen with an open heart, knowing that it's for someone else. That you don't have to if it's not for you, you can just leave it, and
Mm-hmm.
and if it's for you, you'll know. Um, and then the other thing is I'm intentionally not going to define ADHD
Yeah.
or have a conversation about what it is or what it isn't. Um, and I'm going to leave that to the listener, because there are many spaces that define it or don't define it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways that I define it or don't define it that may differ from the experience. But what is important for me is, if anything that I share
Mm-hmm.
resonates with you and feels like it's going to be beneficial for you, use it, with or without the ADHD label. Like, this even doesn't have to be about Salah and ADHD. It could just be about the development of a Salah practice in this modern world, or
Mm-hmm.
in what does it mean to develop a Salah practice? Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Leave the psychiatric labeling, the DSM labeling alone. Right? Like, what does it mean as Muslims, for us as adults, to continually develop our Salah practice?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of disclaimers and framing and containing and all of that.
Yeah, but totally on
Um,
point.
so remind me, where do you want to go from here?
So I would love if you can share with us a bit about developing a Salah practice. Like, how did you think about that? Like,
Mm.
where did this come from? And like,
It
yeah.
came from the realization that the ways in which we're taught to develop a Salah practice don't always work for everyone in the same way. And Salah is such an integral part of our practice. It's such an integral part of our worship
Mm.
daily, right?
Mm-mm.
That for someone to be left struggling with that piece, either because they didn't receive that nurturing, like that nurturance at all, or they received it in a way that wasn't for them.
How would the struggle look like? Like,
What does it look like?
yeah.
Um, it primarily looks like really struggling with guilt and shame, with maybe hopelessness. It shows up in perfectionism
Mm-hmm.
around what it means to be Muslim, what it means to be loved in the sight of God, what it means to be, um, what it means to just be, actually. Like, what does it mean to just be
Mm.
without all of the layers of judgment and harsh criticism and rejection of even like the struggle that you're having. I'm not sure if I'm being a little too abstract here, but that's one way that it shows up. There's also the very practical way of how it shows up, of like lateness to Salah, time being a difficult thing, timeliness in Salah being difficult,
Mm.
um, focus and concentration, khushu', feeling difficult, uh, struggling with the typically when we think of like go pray, right? We think of just get up and go pray, right? It's this one task. But if you think about it, there are many smaller tasks that need to happen in order for the big task to be completed, right? So it could be struggling with like the smaller things that you need to do. Um, but really, like, if we look at the most important thing of all, right? If we think of like what is the purpose of Salah, Salah,
Mm-hmm.
like linguistically connected to Sila, connection, right? Our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is it like? Where is our heart with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And how does that show up in our Salah, but also in our relationship to our Salah practice in general. Because if we're not going there, if we're not literally turning our faces towards God, right?
Yeah.
Like, is our qibla perfectionism? Is our qibla Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Like,
Oh, that's so deep, actually. Like,
mm,
it's actually really meaningful of knowing what you're worshiping.
yeah.
I want to backtrack for a second towards, all right, so how this looks like for someone, because I personally don't struggle with this, so I'm just trying to be in the shoes of
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
someone who might struggle with this.
Mm,
I'm trying, of course, each person can have their own struggle or their own
yeah.
way of like kind of um, dealing with this. But
Mm,
I want to check in. How does so Salah can sometimes be overwhelming as a like a practice that's supposed to be Salah or like supposed to be
connection. Yeah.
connection. It feels like an overwhelming task that needs to be or like am I
I,
getting it wrong?
no, I don't think you're wrong. I think what, like, there was a moment as I was like, connecting with people over this and having these conversations and holding space and holding workshops and, doing all these things, that it clicked with me that this isn't just a struggle with Salah. For a lot of people, this is the struggle with a lot of things. And this is just how it shows up in this particular like space, right? So if they're struggling with their sense of timeliness with their Salah, it's more than possible that they are struggling with it in other aspects of their life.
Mm. Yeah, I see. I see. And okay, I see what you're saying here. That it's probably something that is like goes around and around, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you know that this is
Mm,
something you're interested in or interested in developing or like researching or
yeah.
like going into it? Because how to also like researches this and or like it's an area of interest.
I like informally
Yeah.
do research in this area. Well, maybe I shouldn't even say that. I do formally do research in this area.
Yeah.
I shouldn't minimize. Um, when did I know that I like really that this was important? Um, I had like an inkling of it being important. Like I
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew that, but a colleague and friend of mine, Farah Jamil, who does a lot of really cool work in the Muslims and ADHD space, also interfaith and ADHD. She does a lot of work in the faith and ADHD space. Um, so I was invited. I can't remember at which one of her. She does some really amazing work in that space. So I remember I was offering a workshop on this topic of Salah and ADHD, and it was online. It was on Zoom, and I can only facilitate like so big of a Zoom until it gets like a little either hectic or it's not as beneficial or whatever. And so I limited it to like I think 25 people or something like that. It was a good yani, group of people. It wasn't too big, it wasn't too small. And then I started to get emails of like, can I please like I need to get into this
Oh
workshop.
wow.
And I was like, okay, well, if you're going out of your way to like email the person, like, yeah, of course, I know it's that. So like it came like it was like, closer to 30. And then the sister uh who one of the people who messaged like stayed at the end and we had a one-on-one and it was like, just like she was so overwhelmed and so grateful and it started to like I started to realize like this really deeply impacts people and it's such a niche intersection
Mm-mm.
that when you struggle with this intersection, you can't go to your, you know, like counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, whoever. Generally speaking, those people don't really talk about how those things will show up in faith practice.
Mm.
And if you go to your religious scholar, well, they don't really know what's going on with the mental health space.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of stuck. And
yeah. What do you do that? Like,
well, that was the invitation for me to step up and do more of this.
I mean, as a person who's struggling between,
Mm,
I can't go to this, I can't go to that,
mhm.
and
So the one thing I will say, I mean, I know I'm gonna like contradict myself a little bit, um, is, and I say this with caution, like, one, maybe give your therapist a chance, right? To go there. Like if like invite them into that conversation, and invite your imam or your religious scholar to go into that conversation. They may surprise you. And you also might not find what you need in those spaces. Whatever the situation is, you're in this moment, right? By Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's grace.
mm,
And so there's also a process of like turning to God for what you need, right? And so if you can't find that, keep seeking,
mm.
right? Like don't despair. That's maybe like the most important thing that I can say. And it's maybe one of the hardest things that I can, one of the hardest things to actually put into practice is لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Like do not despair in the mercy of God.
Wow. I love this. I love this verse. I feel like it grounds
Mm,
me so much. Um, I know I'm going back to the struggle because
yeah.
I'm particularly interested in knowing um how, like, I'm not necessarily just how does it look like, but I'm just thinking about when somebody wants to go up and pray.
Mm,
And this can be like really such a simple task for some people where they can just do it.
get up and yeah.
And those who can't, I'm just like being so mindful of like the string that can be cut and say, I'm not going to do it at all.
Mm,
What was useful in the workshop that you gave that you feel like that
mm.
this stood out for people?
I mean, that's a hard question to answer because like I can list out a bunch of like tips and tricks that people can use.
Mhm.
And there's a space for that and there's a usefulness in that. And it's almost like an iceberg, right? Like the tips and tricks and
Yeah.
that's like the surface level stuff. The the deeper stuff, the core stuff is is bigger than just like I can give you tips and tricks.
Mm.
But if we don't heal from like the stuff that's under the surface, it's gonna keep showing up.
Is there like something common that you see under
Um
the surface?
yeah,
Mhm.
I see I see black and white thinking about religiosity and about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I see uh people conceptualizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we're like, let's really get into this and let's really absorb what this is. Conceptualizing their conceptualizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and conceptualizing their relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on their relationships to people.
Mm.
And whether it's those are people in like in their lives just generally or like very personal relationships. And that shows up in like, well, people treat me like this. So, it's sometimes even like completely unconscious,
Hmm.
you know?
Mhm.
Like I've always been treated by, you know, my family, for example, in a very uh like people around me are like petty accountants, right? Like they're taking notes. There's like a little bit of a thing here, like there's a little bit of a correction there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's this just assumption that this is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is treating us or looking at us.
Mhm.
And when we start our salah, we start with Allahu Akbar. God is greater than all and any of our possible conceptualizations. Like when we talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, we talk about mercy, but we have no idea,
Mhm.
right? There's
Absolutely.
approximations, right?
Yeah.
Like the comparison to a mother's mercy, like there's approximate, but it's beyond.
Mhm.
Allahu Akbar.
I'm having a mindful pause on how
Mm,
important this is and how really our relationships can impact the way our relationship with Allah is. So just being mindful of that, being mindful of what are we thinking about our thinking about Allah.
yeah.
And I know, I mean, I know I'm not in a place where I could say, hey, let's jump towards the fixing the problem of how can we make this better. So I'm
Mm,
pretty sure people want to feel better about their lives and about their salah, especially that
yes.
it's like it's something that you need to do every single day for
Yeah.
quite some time. But I'm also mindful of this culture of overdiagnosis, especially with
Hmm.
ADHD, where like we could over identify with the symptoms and just think that this is me who's going through this. So I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this in specific, but I feel
Mm.
like I would like to hear from you if you have the same concerns of or
Around overdiagnosis and
like over diagnosing, maybe over identifying, and
mm,
um, mm, mm, yeah, maybe missing what could be the actual.
yes and no.
Mhm.
Yes, in the sense that I don't think it's useful for people to use a label as a limit. And what I mean by that is, you know, oh, I have blank, therefore I cannot or blank, for example. It's such a limiting belief.
Mm-mm.
Um, the usefulness of a label, I believe it can be useful
Mhm.
insofar as it may mirror to you some parts of yourself that are opportunities for growth.
Mhm.
And and growth, I want to be really clear here, doesn't mean like fixing in quotes. Growth can be recognizing, growth can be acceptance,
Mhm.
growth can be a lot of things. um yeah, I think I'll leave it there.
Yeah. I like that. I like that growth is not fixing things.
Not necessarily, yeah.
Yeah. And in this training that we're in right now, we're sitting with a lot of the maybe struggle of the acceptance of where we are. And I notice
Yeah.
this a lot. Like something that I notice it in my personal life, in my work, in my I like there's this resistance towards things happening.
Mm,
And I feel like this resistance only fuels us more
yeah.
towards um
Yeah.
hating it instead of just, and this idea of accepting is, I mean, it's very mainstream right now, but if we actually think about it, it's the core of tawakkul, of
Mm,
like dependence and reliance on Allah, is like
mm,
accepting that,
mhm,
right, maybe this is what I'm like, this is my struggle right now.
yeah.
Um this is what I'm currently like sitting with. And I do would like, I want to know from like your work or like your
Mhm,
research or even observations from people who do struggle with this,
yeah.
what's like, how do they describe their struggle to you? Or like if
Mm. I had one person describe it as feeling like you hold this thing that like nobody else knows about, like this like secret shame
mm,
of like I do all the other Muslim things, and I show up and I want to show up, but I just can't get this right. And I'm like, you know, I'm grown. Like I'm not, this is not me as a teenager or a young adult struggling. Like I'm well into my adulthood and I still can't get this right.
mm.
And there's just a lot of shame and guilt around that.
So there's a like a way to get it right.
Well, that's the problem, is that there's this like, so there is, of course, the obligation of Salah,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you also have people conceptualizing again what what they think they should be in order to be good in God's sight, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, I just salamta, I just finished my salam for my salah, I just completed my prayer. It wasn't this or it wasn't that, or well, it wasn't worth anything because I prayed late, or whatever the thing is, right? That people are like, well, I need to get it done. And I'm not saying there aren't things to aspire to in our salah practice. Khushu', timeliness, like all of these beautiful things that, our teachers all talk about all the time. And it's a practice like anything else in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're like, is there a right and wrong? Well, it's that binary thinking of like all or nothing, black and white, right or wrong, that got us here in the first place.
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
the I need to show up perfectly, and this is what perfect looks like assumptions about what things should look like. And some of it is complete lack of knowledge, right? Like, let's start there. Let's talk about like how, okay, I'm at the very beginning, I said, well, I'm not trained in Islamic studies, but what happens when you start to study, even just in the most basic way, the fiqh of salah, right? Like the rules and regulations around salah and wudu, is you realize that maybe the conceptualization of what I thought it should be is actually not at all what it should be. And that there's a mercy in that as well.
I feel like you have something more to say.
There's a part of me that's like, people are going to be listening and be like, get to the tips and tricks, like get to the things that work and make this a little bit better.
Yeah, right? I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully we're gonna
We can go there now if you want. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good time
Okay.
to shift the gear towards maybe if you
Something that feels a
yeah,
little bit more tangible.
like what could work for someone who's really
Yeah.
struggling with this. And again, as Halah said, like one, don't like if this doesn't fit for you, you don't need to take it. And
Mm.
two, you don't need to actually have or get a
A
diagnosis with ADHD.
label or
Yeah.
connection to it. This might be useful to you even outside of that. Um, so I keep bringing up the concept of time, right? Um, so what is referred to as time optimism or time blindness is the sense of like actually not perceiving the passing of time in a way that other people might. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to have your salah be on time.
Mhm.
Um, and so these are tricks that you would use in other scenarios. So like visual timers are great. Um, and
Like a clock?
not like a clock. So what it looks like is like the clock face, or the face of the timer, has a visual component to it. So you can actually see like it's like a pie chart where the slice of pie it starts off as really thick, or like the whole pie is there, and then it will slowly decrease,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
And so you
see.
can visually see something, because even a digital like countdown where it just says like, oh, 15 minutes, and then it's counting down the numbers, might not compute in the same way that a visual um, image will be processed.
Mm. As you're saying this, I'm
Hmm.
just thinking about the struggle of praying on time, that's one, and the struggle of being present in prayer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that that's a big part of.
Yeah. And again, these are
Mm.
things that almost
Yeah,
everyone will be like, well, how do I gain more khushu' in my salah?
yeah.
Um, and for that one, well, how do you react to it is usually like where I ask. Like for some people, it's like, okay, I get frustrated and I have to say salam and end my salah and start from the beginning. Like,
Mm.
okay, let's take a breath. Um, it's almost like, sometimes you'll be walking and you'll notice that like, oh, I'm intending to walk in a straight line, but I'm slowly like leaning maila to like the right or the left or
Hmm.
whatever, and you just course correct
Hmm.
like gently, like you're not shutting yourself down, like, oh, I have to go all the way back to the start of where I started walking, and I that just gently course correct. That can be one practice.
Like
Um,
that. So during the prayer.
during the prayer.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is where like mindfulness practices come in, right? Like, oh, I noticed that thought. I'm not okay. I notice it. Move back on to practicing mindfulness outside of Salah
Hmm.
will extend to being mindful and present in Salah. Like, what does it mean to have khushu' around your loved ones?
Hmm.
So that it's not like, oh, we're fixing just for Salah. Like, this is an extension of our daily life and our daily practice.
And I like how Salah is one of the examples of this like time limited practice.
Yeah,
Where you need to show up.
you come to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So khushu', timeliness. The other thing is with khushu', are you doing the same thing over and over? Are you reading the same adhkar?
Hmm.
Are you making the same ad'iyah? You're making the same prayer, like requests or prayers, and request is not the right word, but prayers in your salah. Switch it up, memorize a new passage of Quran. Think about the meaning of what you are reciting, because sometimes we get into like rote,
Mm.
revisit the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha, like, you know.
Yeah.
And a part of that is injecting a little bit of like the newness, the novelty in it will allow you to pay better attention.
Hmm.
It might make it easier for you. And again, if it doesn't, that's okay. You try something new. Like you try a different approach. Um,
Hmm.
that's another thing is, when I share these little things, um, there can sometimes be a tendency of like, well, I've tried that. And the thing about this intersection of ADHD and Salah is that you might find that you've tried something and it works for a period of time and then it doesn't, not because it doesn't work, but because it's no longer new and fun and exciting and novel. Right. So, for example, tracking your Salah practice. There are some great, there's even just like you can create your own tracker on like a piece of paper and pen, right? Like,
Hmm.
okay, I prayed Asr on time. Okay, well, Maghrib was a little bit late. I'm noticing a tendency over time that my Maghrib is always late. Okay, let's bring some curiosity as to like, why is it Maghrib that is late? Oh, why is Fajr a struggle? Maybe Fajr is not a struggle and Isha is like, what? Oh, I struggle with Dhuhr because that's the time when that work meeting happens. And I always tend to, talk with, Ashley at the water cooler after lunch meeting or whatever. And I always tend to miss whatever. You start to see the patterns and you start to bring some curiosity into what is going on. But then the journal gets bored, or like you get bored of the journal. You get bored of that particular calendar, that particular system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because it's not working. Because okay, halas, move to the next system that's going to work for you, and then maybe come back to that, right? So, I mean, again, not sponsored, but I love the Pillars app, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got a built-in Salah tracker in it,
Oh.
and then maybe you're like, okay, well, now I need to move on to my notebook because the Pillars app, like, I'm not using it right now. Okay, move on to the notebook, move on to the whatever, move on to the messaging my friend to let them know that I've prayed. So that's another tip, I guess, is if you struggle with having internal motivation
Mhm.
to do something, but you find it really easy when another person's doing it with you or someone else is reminding you and you have that external motivation, then use it. Don't insist that coming to my salah has to look a certain way, right?
Mm.
If the only thing that's going to get you to pray Salat al-Maghrib is you telling yourself, well, I'm going to go get myself some chocolate. Get yourself some chocolate. Like, go to your salah. If that's what's working, that's what's working. Accept that that's what it takes right now.
And then it can evolve later.
It can evolve,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But not to shame yourself, but I need a push. And especially like, as you said, this person who says like, I'm an adult. It's not like I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
And wow, this is like I personally benefited so much right now
Alhamdulillah.
just from hearing this. And I just like
I'm just so proud of you of the passion that you have towards this, and I'm pretty sure you're like raising not necessarily just awareness, but I'm pretty sure you're helping some folks who really
Yeah.
need this support and push.
And I'll say I mostly work in the space with other adults.
Mm.
But the question on my mind a lot of the time is like, well, what does this look like when we're introducing Salah to children or helping, preteens and teenagers begin that process of developing their lifelong Salah practice?
Yeah, right. Wow. So I know that we're almost out of time, especially
That went by so quickly.
that went by very quickly.
Yeah.
And oh wow, we're a bit over time. So anything that you'd like to end with? Like I'll probably like link you have an Instagram account
Yeah.
for
Salah
Salah.
and ADHD
Mhm.
and salahandadhd.com. And this is like a in development
Mhm.
passion project, right? Like, so if you're hearing this and you're like, I just need this right now, like, please, patience as I like put these things together.
Mhm.
And dua, like, please pray that this is something that benefits people and that that it comes together in a way.
Mhm.
salahandadhd@gmail.com is the email, so like feel free to reach out and yeah.
Amazing.
If you want to volunteer, like send me a message and we'll set something up. Because I think it's like it's important work. I think people need it, and I'd like to be able to get it out there in a way that's responsive to that need, but also like honors the fact that we want to do it right.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Hannah, so much. I'm gonna be linking those in the show notes just so that
Yeah.
they have easy access for them.
And the
Yeah.
website I'll say is like a landing page with a link where you can express interest in like what are the kinds of things you want. Are you wanting workshops? Are you wanting one-on-ones? What do you want this to look like?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of co-creation happening right now. It's like me trying to figure out like, okay, what is it that the community wants and needs, and how can I show up and how do we match that?
Absolutely. I know Halah is mainly based in North America, but
Yeah.
because a lot of the listeners are from the Middle East as well,
Mhm.
so I think that would be also an interest.
Yeah, and I mean
So,
online, right? So we can
yeah,
always have online spaces for this.
absolutely. Thank you, Hannah, very much.
لا شكر على واجب.